Morning, here we go with another day of messing about on the car with no real structure or plan. In order for me not to get bored doing it and for you not to get bored watching it, I guess, I thought I'd sort of just mess around today. I've never actually checked all the electrics work on the car. When I was doing the steering lock the other day, I couldn't check the lighting circuits and stuff because I'd taken them all out to do the wings and the bodywork. So I think today I'm going to have a mess around with the electrical items, check what's working, what isn't working, have a look at the wheels and tyres. I had a couple of comments about the wheels being yellow. That was a previous owner, nothing to do with me. They will be going back silver. Just wanted to show you the state of the tyres on the car and the age of the tyres, specifically the spare being original from 1978 and the 4 on the car I think date from the 80s, but we'll have a look at the date codes and show you that, and generally just mess about a bit today. I appreciate there's a lot of bodywork to be done, but it makes boring viewing and it makes boring filming, to be honest. I fought around that much filming me sanding stuff down. I'd rather just get that done and not film it, if you like. So today's got no real structure. We'll just see where we go and what happens as we go along. So I'll catch you in a bit. Rightio, so electrical testing. First thing I've done, as I'm going to be messing about with electrics and the battery isn't exactly a huge thing, I've connected my C-Tech, which is a charger and conditioner, so that it doesn't deplete the battery while we're messing around today. First thing we'll check is the side lights and indicators to make sure we've got power to these, because I couldn't check these the other day because obviously I've taken them out. First thing I'm going to check is I've actually got an earth to both sides. I'll do that through continuity on the meter. That's set to continuity on there. See that 200 ohms audible, then you press select. So if we just check that now, you'll see I've got the earth on there. And we've got a audible sound. Now if I check the earth, that's the earth to the side light and indicator, and then the same the other side. So we know before we're starting we've actually got an earth, so we can check the circuit now. One thing I think I'll do while we're actually messing around with wiring is these looms, I believe in the past, years ago, maybe were adhesive of some kind, and certainly if they weren't adhesive they were certainly a bit better than the way they're flapping around. So I think I'll find some way of attaching that. But what I want to do is these connectors anyway that the side lights went into, I'm going to change them and put bullet connectors on them just so it looks a bit neater. And yeah, they're terrible anyway. You can see the wires are hanging out of the block connectors, so we'll neaten them up before we do anything. So I'm going to fit a bullet connector onto the wires, and that'll make it a lot safer and easier to disconnect in the future. Okay, so I've fitted the bullet connectors to the wiring loom. You can see that looks a lot neater, and I've just put the light unit there so we can test them in a while when I do the other side. So same again with this side, we're going to remove that and neaten it up a bit, and then we'll fit the light unit and see where we've got indicators and side lights. Yeah, it's just struck me, if some of you are wondering why I'm doing it in this way, that being the earth wire, it doesn't really matter if that's bare, and also it's always nice to have an earth available if I need one, so that's why that is the male connector, if you like. It doesn't really matter if that touches anything when the battery's connected. Obviously for that one there's a single wire in there, so I've used the thinnest bullet connector I've got, and because that's 2 wires, presumably because this circuit then feeds the other side, I've gone for the next size up just so that the wire's crimped in tightly. So that's why I've done it that way. Righty-ho, so we've connected both the side lights up and put the battery on. Let's see if we've actually got some lights. You're going to actually see this before me. I'm going to go into the car now, leave the camera running, and we'll see what we've got. Should be side light. We've got one side light. Could be a dodgy bulb. I'll have to have a look at that. We've got a right hand indicator and we've got a left hand indicator. I'll just check the back. We have rear indicator and both rear side lights. We have no indicator on the rear. So this is where owning a multimeter now comes into its own, because we know we've got an earth on the side that's not got a side light, because the indicator's working, so therefore the earth must be present. It obviously leads to the bulb not working, but we can soon check if we've actually got a live feed to the side light with the multimeter. You can probably see that there. That's the multimeter in the side light circuit. It's showing 13.3 volts because obviously it's charging at the minute with the C-Tech on. So we know that the bulb is at fault, or at least the bulb holder. Next to check. Right, I've taken the lenses off. The indicator bulb, although was working, is quite dirty. And the side light bulb I'll check in a moment, but you can probably not see, but inside there it's a bit cruddy, so it could just be a bad connection. And again, this is where a multimeter comes into its own, because the bulb, if I just check for continuity on the bulb, you can see that the bulb hasn't blown without even checking it, so it's just perhaps a dodgy connection. You can probably see that now. Clean the terminals up and just put a squirt of plus gas in there. Plus gas is just a different variation of WD-40. So yeah, should be good. Yeah, you should be able to see that now, just cleaning the bulb and the terminals up, and we've got a side light, so it is just corroded connections. Right, that's all back together, apart from I've not put the lens cap on yet. I'll just check the indicators working. All good there. Put the lens cap on. Suppose we should really check the headlights as well while we're at it. That's a dip beam. main beam. Check that on flash just to... Do we have a flash? We don't have a flash. These old cars don't have a flash. My God. How do you call people an idiot? So earlier when I checked, I didn't have a rear light here. Just come to it and it was working. Quick press on the connections on the back and it's obviously got a dodgy connection, so I'm going to have a look at these rear lights anyway. I guess you can see that there. The multimeter set to continuity again. You'll see that this is the brake light bulb and one side is dead. So without even checking that, we know the brake lights don't work. If we check a new bulb, we know the bulb's good. So as we know, we've got an intermittent fault on this rear light. It's pretty simple how this works. It just earths through the side here. The shell of the body is earthed because it's bolted to the body, and then that's your earth. And if you look inside, you can see that we've got corrosion in there. So if we clean that up, put the new good bulb in, we should be okay. There we go then, we've got a working side light there that's not temperamental. One thing I have noticed, and I'm going to check, I think that the bulb on the passenger side has been put in the wrong way around. It's a lot brighter than that. If you look how bright that is, I'd imagine the brake light side is active. Interestingly enough, swapping the bulbs around, you can see that the bulb on the other side is just a lot brighter than this one. I don't know why. You'll have to investigate. That's really strange. I've just got another brand new bulb out just to check, and on the side light circuit you can see that is a lot dimmer, which is what it should be. It's only 5 watts. The problem of having a really bright one is you won't know when the brake lights are on. So okay, so while we're under here, we have no number plate light, so we'll investigate that as well. So straight away we've got the feed to the number plate light, which is obviously picked up from the side light, and we're showing a good voltage there, so it must be the bulb or the connection again. I'll have a look at that. And there we have finally a working number plate light that had a mixture of corroded terminals, broken bulb, and just general, I guess the road mess throws up there. It's not the best idea, but it's working for the moment. So we've got a full set of lights now, side lights, headlights, main beam. Brake lights is next, and then see what's up with them indicators with that dodgy wiring. Through the wonders of using a camera, I can now check the brake lights are working without propping a stick in it or something. So annoyingly, if you could see on that video, it looks like we've got no brake lights at all, unless I'm not pressing the pedal hard enough, which I doubt. The easiest thing for me to do first is to find voltage. If I disconnect the brake light feed and just run an extension to the front so I can actually be pressing the pedal and messing about, I can guess that there must be a little pin switch on the brake pedal itself. Most old cars are like that, so I'm going to check that, but it's just easier to try and get the voltage around the front. So we'll see if I can run a wire off that to the front to some sort of bulb setup so I know what I've got. So this isn't very scientific, but it'll sort of explain what I'm trying to do. If you imagine that we're at the back of the car now, this is the feed coming from the actual real brake light wire, and it's obviously earthed through the chassis normally. If I substitute that feed there. It's the same wire, but it's just bared back to a live battery there, and then connect an earth. You'll see that light comes on. So imagine brakes on, brakes off, brakes on, brakes off. What I intend to do now is obviously disregard that battery totally, earth this wire onto the chassis, and then mess about with the brake pedal, and I can then see if I've got brake lights without keep trying to run around the back of the car, etc, etc. So it's a very long-winded way to do this, but I've got time to spare. So that bulb now is earthed off the battery and obviously being fed from the proper brake light circuit. Ignition is on, and if I press the brake pedal even as hard as I can, I've got nothing there. So leads me to believe there's no feed to that from, I guess, the switch or possibly a fuse, although I wouldn't think that the brake lights were fused on their own. I will check. So annoyingly, the easiest way of actually getting to the brake light switch is going to be taking this shelf out, which I've already had out the other day, but well, never mind. There is the brake light switch. You can see there. We'll just have to have a look at that and see if it's actually activating. Where are we? The bulb there, if I press the switch, I'm actually not touching it now. You can see there's obviously a fault with the switch. If I just literally bend the wires onto the switch, I've got an intermittent on off. These wires here, like that now, I've just bent that and we've got no light. If I bend it back, you can see we've got light. So I'll try and clean them up and see what we've got. This is the switch out of situ. You can see it's a very simple non-latching switch, we'd call it. You press the brake pedal like a doorbell, it makes the connection. It is that simple. The first thing to do, just for long-windedness really, and I suppose to educate some people that have got no clue, I'll check that for continuity on the switch and make sure that the switch itself operates every time, and then we'll look at the wiring. Could just be the Lucas on the wiring. We'll have a look. Right, so this is now set to continuity as we've done before. So in theory, pressing that button in would activate the switch, and you can see that we've got nothing there, or very intermittent. You can just about hear the odd tremble. I'll just prove to you that it is set to continuity. If I take that one off and touch it to itself, that's what we should get when we get in that. Well, we're getting nothing. So the switch is definitely faulty. So really, just to show you what the switch does really, you can see that would be normal brakes off position, and I've connected a latching switch on it now. If I click this switch, brakes on, click it again, brakes off. It's that simple. Basically the non-latching switch, the brake pedal switch itself, is faulty. I've tried messing around with it and it's pointless. I bet they're only like £2 or something, so I'll order one of them. This is really just to show you that the brake lights are now working. We've got the near side and off side. All I've done is permanently connected the wires together so it's as if brakes are on. So we've got a full set of lights now. It's just the hazards to look at. I'm going to have a look at this hazard warning switch now. As we've seen on an earlier video, it's looped, and I've learnt since that the switches fail, and looping that circuit there still allows the indicators to work. So I'll put it back to normal and see what happens, and then we'll strip the switch down and see if we can make it work. You can probably hear that. That's the hazard relay flicking, and we have a full set of 4 hazard warning lights working. That would lead me to believe that either the switch is temperamental and I've just caught it on a good day, or when I turn the hazard warning lights off, the indicators now won't work. Let's just have a look at that. The switch is very tight anyway, but I'll put the ignition on, see if we've got an indicator. Yeah, see, I've got no rear indicators now. Unless of course I didn't go far enough on the thing. Yeah, no indicators. So obviously the hazard circuit still works with a faulty switch, but it then doesn't power up the indicator side. Taking the switch apart, you can see why they bridged the 2 wires to fix the fault. Basically, if you look at the top of that there, that is the connection that was bridged, which obviously enables the indicator circuit, and then the bottom 4 enable the hazard circuit. There's then a sliding contact there that goes on and either activates one or the other. It's pretty simple, so I should be able to put that back together and see what we've got. Right, so it's back together. I've just left the cover off just so you can see, and we've got hazard warning lights on, and all 4 work. I've just checked. If I can that over now, that should be hazards off, which it is, and we have indicators. Just go and check the car. Yeah, rears are working. Obviously the fronts will be. No reason why they shouldn't. I'll just check the other side. Yeah, all good. Alright, so the switch is back in the dash now. I've got ignition on. And we've got normal indicators. And we put the switch down there, and we've got hazards. All is good. We do, however, have the most gash horn in the world. Very intermittent. I'm wondering whether that's the switch. Terrible. So all I've done with the horn is, rather than keep trying to press the horn and annoy neighbours, etc, etc, I've took the feed wire off the horn and connected it, same as I do with the brake lights, so that when you press the horn button, the bulb should light up. So spraying it and working the switch, you've got a sweet spot now where you could get a tone. If you press the thing in hard, you've got nothing, and if you fart about with it, but if you press it sort of halfway, you've got a constant light there now. So there's obviously something wrong with the switch, but should you want to, you could have the horn blaring if you know exactly where you're pressing. Like I say, it's a very, very delicate find, but once you find it, which is no good, you know, if you if you're imminently going to run over an old lady and gain 50 points, but it is there if you can find it. Definitely something to look at though. I'm not going to be able to do anything else with that other than get a new switch, I suppose. Right, so I've changed the Lucar. You can see the blue one down there, because the original one was all broken. I'm just going to alter this red wire here, which someone made for an earth. It's probably had a new horn at one time. Red for an earth is not the best idea in my eyes, and also it routes all the way up to the headlight. I can't see the point of that. It could earth straight through the mounting bracket, I think, so I'll try and make a little loop. Where's the horn? There we go. So now you can see I've just looped the earth wire from the horn to the actual bracket that's mounted anyway, thus negating that big long wire, and then the feed straight to it, and there we go. Right, so hopefully you can see this. This is the back end of the valance, where I said to you on previous videos it's just had a bodgy patch welded on the front. You can see now this is the home cocked valance all along the front there, hence me saying what is the point in trying to do a really lovely job of the edges when this is all like that anyway. But what we're mainly concerned with at the minute is the wiring. Obviously it would have originally fastened somehow, and it's just hanging like that. I'm now going to try and devise some way of fastening it up neat across the back of that. Okay, so I've tidied all that up now, rerouted all the wiring up to the alternator just to neaten it up, and then cable tied all the loom to it, and then just put one fixed cable tie into the valance there to hold that tight so it can't go anywhere, and then neatened up all down the edges on both sides. Now, as with everything, you look at one job and find another. We know I cleaned the engine off the other day, but you can clearly see that the rocker cover gasket is weeping, which is probably where the oil leaks were coming from, to be honest. So that one's changing, but what I have noticed, it's also either leaking that side or it's leaking around the thermostat. Now, I'd have been surprised that the thermostat was leaking. There's no pressure in it, and I wouldn't have thought the highest point would have a lot of water in there, but we'll, you know, it's certainly, after having a quick tip of the tongue test, it tastes like antifreeze to me. So I might have to have a look at that, get a new gasket. Quite annoying. So we'll quickly talk tyres and the amazing wheels. Somebody commented yesterday about the yellow wheels. Yeah, it's astounding what certain people think looks good. You can see they used to be cream under there, and obviously I've got photos of the car when it was a lot newer and they were silver. They will be going back silver, but I just wanted to show you the tyres. You can see they're all cracked. I've just took photographs of all the date codes, so I'll add them on in a minute and you'll see how old the tyres are. I just wanted to show you the spare, which is still painted cream, but I believe the spare to be an original tyre from new. It's a Firestone F560, and if you look at the date code on it, years ago they didn't have 2 weeks and a year like they do now. I believe that will be the date code, and I'm guessing it's week 17 of 77 maybe, I don't know. I mean, the car is May 78, so who knows. Don't really, there's no real great way of working out date codes from years ago. If I quickly show you the back one, that says 402. Now, up until 2000, they only had one number for the year, so that could be 1992 or it could be 1982. It can't be 1972, obviously, because the car wasn't made. If you think the last time I've got a valid MOT for it was 1992, it's possible it could have had 4 new tyres in 1992 and then been parked up, but they don't look as if they're brand new. There's not a massive amount of tread on them. I would imagine 1982, and then they'd been on for 10 years it's only a guess. Maybe someone will know when I put all the date codes on. But yeah, that's basically it with the wheels. Obviously, we're going to have to get a full set of tyres. Toying with going to 155 80/13s when I do it, just because they're really, really skinny. And I know a few people have done that. So there you go. This is just to show you a modern day date code. If you look there, these tyres are on my motorhome, and that is week 48 of 2011. Now the motorhome itself is a 2012, March 2012 I think. So obviously these are the original tyres, but it's only done 19,000 miles from new. We were going to have a full set of new tyres on this year, simply because of the age thing, even though there's like 7 or 8 mil left on the tread, simply because tyres degrade. But with the lockdown and stuff, and it just sitting here, it does seem stupid to shell out 300 or 400 quid on tyres when we're not going anywhere. So we may make them last this year and have new ones next year, we'll see. I'll just say a couple more things about tyres before I sign off for today. Just had a quick Google. I'm trying to work out the 3 number system, and so the example it was giving me was 346 is week 34 of 86 or 96, and if there was a little triangle after the 6, it meant it was 96. So assuming, I think, I can't remember now, but let's say the photographs I've just shown you said 402, and I was thinking, oh, maybe it was 1982 because the car was off the road. I'm only assuming the car was off the road from 92 because I've got one MOT for 1992 and then nothing. It's feasible to say that somebody could have thrown the MOTs away from 93, 94, 95. I don't know, the car was off the road, I'm just assuming. So the tyres would lead me to believe that now, for example, 42 would be week 40 of 1992. So it's possible that the car could have been on the road for 93, 94, 95, 96. It seems to confirm that there's no arrow on the spare which said, I think, 177, which would make sense that it was week 1 of 1977. There's no reason to say that British Leyland wouldn't have a stack of wheels knocking around, and putting a year-old set of tyres on a brand new car wouldn't have been a problem. So yeah, I'll stick the photos of the tyres on so this sort of looks in sequence, and we'll go from there. I'll also just quickly throw one on of a modern tyre to show you where it says week and then year, and it's a lot easier now. There's a 4-digit system. Man, this is so boring, but some people like boring. I like boring. So anyway, I've enjoyed today. As you can probably tell by the mood, I quite enjoy electrical and neatening stuff up a lot more than filling and sanding and fabrication. It's not my thing. I really just enjoy problem chasing more than, you know, mundane stuff. I know it's all got to be done, but I've enjoyed today a lot more, and I presume there's way too much content today. It's going to be either a long video, which I know some of you like, or I'm going to have to chop a lot out. I'll see. So until the next video, I'll leave you with all that. I don't know if I'm going to do one tomorrow, simply because I've got plenty of other things I can be doing. I need to mow my grass and do stuff like that, and I don't want to get bored of doing the car. After a good day, I don't know what I'd do tomorrow. It'd be back to bodywork, and I've had enough of that for the minute. So I'll see what I do. I might do, you never know, but for now, possible that this might be, you know, the next video might be on Friday. I'll see. Catch you later.